Hi, we're the Huge Movie Fanatics, and we're here to do another Halloween-y review for The Exorcist, which is considered by and large, by a lot of people, to be the scariest movie of all time.
It's another one of the scariest movies of all time.
Yeah, a lot of movies claim that. I believe Texas Chainsaw claimed that on its box, as well as Alien when it was redistributed in theaters. So anyway, The Exorcist. It's all these movies with X's. I can't do it.
Yeah.
They all bleed together. The Exorcist is really just a great movie. Ignore the fact that it's a horror movie. It is a good movie. It's insanely well acted by pretty much everybody involved. I really like it. The look, the feel. That has such a sort of unique feel, and as the darkness sort of sets in the movie, like the horror aspect, the movie gets sort of like, not really grainier, but it sort of seems to layer in a fog or something like that is kind of unique to the movie, and I'm not sure if that was intentional or if, I don't know, it's just really cool.
Yeah.
One thing that makes the movie really effectively creepy is the whole subliminal message thing, where they just flash what Pazuzu, the demon, looks like. Just completely at random throughout the movie.
Isn't it different in the version you haven't seen versus the original, how much flashing of that stuff is? I can't remember what's different.
Yeah, I can't either. I've seen them both, and they sort of bleed together because it is the same movie. But I do actually prefer the director's cut.
I prefer that's the version you haven't seen. That's the first one. I hadn't seen it until 2000. Me and my girlfriend at the time were in like Seattle. It was just really cool because it was like October. It was rain. Well, it's always wet and rainy over there. So, but the atmosphere was very cool in October, Halloween. We went to see it, and I saw it for the first time in this, theater with the modern day surround mix. That was a treat because that was the first time I'd seen it, and I do prefer, because I got the Blu-ray, so I've seen the theatrical as well. And I do prefer the version you haven't seen, which I don't think has too much more than the theatrical.
No. It's really just a couple of scenes, if that. But the movie actually holds up as still being pretty scary. It's remarkable how well that movie holds up in its creepiness. It's been out for nearly 40 years. Next year will be its 40th anniversary.
Oh boy.
Is that not crazy?
Yeah, isn't that something? It doesn't feel like something, because like if you take the Creature from the Black Lagoon, and then like 10 years after it was made, it was just like, what the fuck?
Well, I remember my dad saw Godzilla when he was really young,
Right.
the original movie, and it scared the bejesus out of him.
Okay. But in the 80s, by the time you got to the 80s...
Well, by the time you got to like 70s, Godzilla is a joke. I mean, like literally the franchise turned into a comedic franchise, but like the movie isn't scary anymore. The Exorcist...
I can't imagine what it was like.
Every decade just gets scary.
I can't imagine what it was like then.
No, you must have just had like heart attack. Like, I don't understand how that movie and Alien and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like those are the three movies from the 70s that just, no matter when you watch them, those movies will scare the living daylights out of you. And it's a testament to the filmmakers for basically just going there.
Yeah.
Because even now, it still works.
No less than it did then.
Yeah, no less than it did then. I mean, the one, Alien doesn't work as much just because the sequels have sort of marginalized it a little bit.
You feel that the sequels ruined the first movie?
Well, not really ruined the first movie, it just ruined the impact because you know what happens.
Oh, okay.
Like, the shock value is kind of gone because everybody kind of knows what the alien life cycle is now. Unlike The Exorcist, there isn't anything like that in the movie. And in the sequels, they really don't touch on it like they do in the first movie. The first movie is the possession. The second movie is weird. The third movie, there really isn't much of possession anymore. It's just a serial killer who's going in and killing for Pazuzu. Then they do the weird prequels that have nothing...
Anything after... I actually like 3. I think 3 was really
3 is great.
Done in a great way. And George C. Scott is great.
So good. The only complaint I have about The Exorcist is that George C. Scott doesn't play that character. Because he plays it so much better than the guy in The Exorcist. It's just too bad.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's not a complaint to The Exorcist, really. That's just a complaint in hindsight.
The guy that is there is good. I can't remember. I've seen him in something else too.
Yeah,
he's a good naturalistic actor, but when
But
George,
he's not George C. Scott. That's just it.
So anything else?
It's a 4-star movie. It's scary as balls. It's insanely well written. It's so damn faithful to the book. I read the book.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
really faithful to the book. The book is actually scarier, just because like it's really unnerving.
Well, yeah, I imagine all the details.
The details are so much more unnerving in the book that you don't get there. And some of the lost dialogue, like the girl is so much more filthy in the book.
Damn it.
Like she just says these really crude, evil things.
Like
And if you,
what?
in the, I can't think of an example right off the top of my head, but in the movie she says really crude, horrible things. But in the book it gets far more crass and terrifying in its crassness. You wonder like why William Peter Blatty, that's the author, right?
Yeah, because he's the one who did the
Third.
so,
Yeah, I can't remember. I get his name and the director of the movie, William Friedkin. I get the two confused.
Okay, yeah.
William Peter Blatty wrote the book. That man is like.
What a sicko.
How sick is he? Because he writes like these really nice, plain, lovely little corny, funny bits of dialogue, and then he writes these just terrible things, like the girl masturbating with the cross until she's bleeding and stuff like that. It's just terrifying. But yeah. Anyway, great movie, a 4-star movie.
I kind of regard this as the 2001 of horror movies in
Yeah.
a lot of ways. When I walked out of the theater, that's what it felt like. It has this huge, like the way it begins, and I'm pretty much going to talk about the version you haven't seen, the director's cut.
Same here.
The way it begins, the thing is, I'm not superstitious and I don't really believe in anything. So in that aspect, you know, someone who does believe in that kind of stuff might be more afraid of it than I am, because I don't really believe it. And it's kind of like if you have an alien movie and you don't believe in aliens, it might not scare you as much if you believe in aliens, whatever, or leprechauns, or Power Rangers if you don't believe in Power Rangers. But still, not necessarily buying into the whole, you know, eternal battle between Satan and God or whatever. It's still, as a movie, you don't have to, because the movie makes, for its own sake, it believes in it. So, so in its own universe, it's going to take what this particular situation as if it can happen, and what it does is, whether it can happen or not, or does or not in reality, in the movie, it's just creepy as shit. And I love how it begins with that, you know, whatever, the foreign lands,
Yeah.
for an American, you know, for not being from that area.
They actually went there too, which is crazy. Now, like that would never happen. But
well, it's just so great, and the way it began, it was very like abstract and just like, it's like creeped you out. And I think it's right at the beginning, isn't it, where it's like, what's his name? Who, ironically, I grew up with as being an old man, but then he's in the movie young, playing an old man. What's his name? We should say his name. Darn it. Anyway, it's him. Oh, Max von Sydow.
yeah, there.
So
you go.
is it at the beginning? I think it's at the beginning where the scene ends. It might be like 5 or 7, 8, 9 minutes into it, where he's like, that one great side shot where the thing is this way and he's standing over this way, and it's like, whoa, some kind of music and wind, and it's just like, and then it fades to Boston or whatever.
Yeah.
But that opening is just like, it sets the tone for what this movie's gonna be.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh shit. And it was just one of the, I gotta tell you, seeing it at that theater, you know, and it was just one of the most, I'll just never forget it unless I get hit in the head and get brain damage, or unless I die. That it was just a really great, memorable movie experience. And I feel so fortunate to have seen it for the first time, the version you haven't seen, in the theater, modern, you know, discrete, you know, 5.1 whatever sound mix. It was great.
I'm wondering, because I was rewatching this movie, I rewatched Rocky shortly afterwards. I wonder if Rocky kind of borrowed a lot of stuff from this movie, in the sense that Rocky is written in a way where like the dialogue just comes off so naturalistic, and like it's just real people in a small town or in a big town kind of thing, and just how they're getting along. And the priest in this movie is so similar to Rocky in a lot of weird ways.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Well, yeah, and I'm just wondering if like this movie sort of had a weird impact on Stallone, where he's like, I'm gonna tell this story about this guy, but like you could watch those movies back to back and it wouldn't feel weird, which is kind of strange. They just have such a lived-in, this is actually happening before your eyes feel, and this movie's a terrifying horror movie. Rocky isn't.
Which I must admit, by the way, is completely, in my opinion, completely you never see in movies now. Where it's just like, for me, it's all, well, for me, it's all just, the majority of it's just fabricated bullshit. This is a set, what they're wearing are costumes. I just love how it looks.
A lot of movies now, yeah, you're really quite right. This movie,
it's like real.
Yeah, it just feels.
And
real.
That's what movies were like back then. So that's how it was. I love the stuff between, like, intercutting between what the father Karras, is that correct?
Yeah.
And was going on, and that some of them short scenes, like the one in the it's like 20 seconds long or whatever, where he's in the subway, and it's just like, could you help an old boy, father? You know, and it's like he looks and the train passes, and that expression on his face, just like, and just by seeing we cut back and forth between, like, the Linda Blair family or whatever and him, you see what he's doing, and then you see his situation with his mom and everything, and how troubled he is. And I've seen it a lot, and unfortunately I can't really remember all the details of what his problems are. What are his problems? Just his mother basically not wanting to go into a...
Basically, he basically stops believing in what he's doing.
I mean, how can you if your life is so tough and you're not getting any help?
Yeah.
And that's one of my great, whatever's in the whole thing in general and in reality is how can, never mind, we won't go there, but that works so well for the movie. And then by introducing, and I do love and it seems so real, the Linda Blair and her mom and the director, the drunk director and all that shit. It seems so real, and we're just coming in at this particular moment of their lives.
Yeah.
And it's just like you say, it's so real, and the slow way it progresses, and the horrifying stuff is so horrifying. It's just great.
Yeah, I really love that movie. Probably gonna go home and watch that if I find a free hour.
Good luck. I mean, good luck. Good luck. You're you after all. And,
it's true.
With all your auditions and and everything, and turning down parts, it's you can't find time. But it's just, I don't know. There's other stuff to review today, and there's so much to say. It's kind of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where do you start?
Yeah.
4 stars. This is
4 stars.
This is amazing. Check it out. There's so much greatness here.
Yeah, and I will also do a shout out to the third one, Exorcist 3. Great movie. Ignore 2, ignore the prequels. Watch Exorcist, Exorcist 3. They're a great couple.
You know what? We've disagreed a lot, and we disagree a lot, but we completely agree there. Exorcist 2 is just, it's weird. One thing it's got for it is it's actually got Linda Blair, which I guess is like the only thing that's got for it. It tries to be weird in a way, in kind of how the first one was at the beginning. But the whole movie is just weird.
It's so fabricated, like you mentioned. Like, there's nothing real about that movie. And they keep saying the demon's name when the demon's name is just goofy. It's Pazuzu. If you say that a lot, it diminishes the scary.
Like, because I think isn't like, what's his name in it? It reminds you of Africa, and James Earl Jones is in it, right? Jones, yeah. And it's just goofy. And the thing that makes the first one so great is it doesn't, you see it from the point of view of the people. The family, the mom, and one thing that that I almost forgot to mention, having grown up as a kid and having had to, just for whatever reasons, gone to hospital, a lot and stuff when I was a kid, because of reasons, not mental reasons, physical reasons. One of the scariest things about the movie is the goddamn hospital scene for me, and it's so realistic. And as a kid, like going through that stuff, getting x-rays when you're an adult isn't anything. But when you're a kid, you're just like, I used to not want to even go get x-rays. When you think as an adult, well, what the fuck's an x-ray? But it's just that sense of, I don't know what's involved. And luckily, I never had an x-ray like that, where it's like, we're gonna, put a needle in your, inject dye in your blood or whatever the fuck they did. And that is also, which I almost forgot to mention, which I would have been pissed off about, is one of the huge things that also is very scary and unnerving about the movie. And just like, forget the demon shit. Look at the current at the time medical profession, and look at what they're doing to the poor girl.
Yeah, and she gave a great performance for being a cute little 11-year-old girl. She really brought it.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for watching.